true wisdom and intelligence operates in the silence. The reason why getting a million people's opinions feels even more confusing is because you're actually introducing more stress. Why does this work? Well, beyond calming our nervous system, it allows us to access the truth in our own minds and souls. Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. Hello, my friends. Welcome. Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy here. And you are exactly where you need to be today because the answers you seek are in the most unlikely and possibly uncomfortable place for you as a woman dentist. Bear with me. This is where we're going today. Welcome home. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about this today. I had this experience that I just had to share with you. Recently, we had adopted a new puppy. We got a new dog, guys. I am now the mother of 3 dogs. I feel like I'm the mother of dragons. 3 dogs. Am I crazy? 2 weeks before Christmas, before we have 20 people coming to stay with us for 2 days, we got another dog out of nowhere. We didn't want another dog. We weren't needing another dog. This beautiful golden doodle landed in our laps. My cousin is moving out of the country. She could not take this dog with her. He is adorable. We are now moms and dads of Wiley, this crazy puppy he's 18 months old. So he's not such a puppy anymore, but he is also wild. He's such a love, but does not like strangers, does not like people coming into the house. It took him a while to get used to us. And literally, guys, I have 20 people coming to the house. This is where my story begins because I was feeling some kind of emotions about this. I was feeling a little stressed about it. I was feeling confused. I was feeling, a little guilty for saying yes. I was feeling worried about what's going to happen over Christmas. I was having all these questions and kept looking for answers. We went to the vet. I called my friend who's a great dog trainer. I called my brother. He's excellent with dogs. I asked my dad. I'm reading, I'm researching. I called a dog trainer. I'm trying to figure out how can I make this possible for him in 2 weeks when less than that, guys, a week actually before everyone comes to our house. And it felt very stressful. And it reminded me so much of the questions that many of my clients come to me with. And it doesn't have to be the same question, but it's these problems, right? I'm trying to solve this problem. There's this concern for me, this worry, or I feel like there's something I need to know or do in my practice, in my leadership, in my family. And there's this problem that I just can't solve. I had a client the other day, phenomenal leader. She runs an incredible practice. And she has this hygienist who she's been really giving her trouble over the past year. She is not quite doing such terrible things in the office where it's obvious that she needs to fire her, but she just doesn't like her energy. And, every now and then she makes a mistake that just really doesn't feel comfortable, or she doesn't show up to work on time. And it doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough that it's giving my client pause. And her attitude makes the office feel stressful. And she's spoken to her several times. So she was coming to me and she was saying, I just don't know what to do. I've asked everyone. Some people say do this. Some people say do that. And I just feel like I'm in a place where I'm not sure what to do about this. And it's keeping me up at night. As I'm sharing these 2 wildly different stories, I'd love for you to just reflect what problem you're holding right now in your life where you feel like you just can't find an answer. You don't feel comfortable with any decision. Nothing feels right. And maybe you've gone to multiple sources, collecting information. Nothing seems to land. Doesn't that sound familiar? I think this happens so often in our lives where we feel confused, we feel conflicted, and sourcing answers doesn't ever feel fully complete. I'm going to say to you again what I said at the very beginning of the episode, that the answers you seek are in the most unlikely and uncomfortable place, and that is in complete stillness. I love this quote from Brené Brown. Stillness is not the absence of movement or sound. It's not about focusing on nothingness. It's about creating a physical and emotional clearing to allow ourselves to feel, think, dream, and question. And I'm inviting you to consider stillness in this way because I think stillness brings up a lot of fear and discomfort in us because we're so not used to it. And yet it's when we take the time to completely block out the noise, it's when the answers come. Because true wisdom and intelligence operates in the silence, in the stillness. What feels authentically aligned and the answers that we need for ourselves happen in stillness. You know, it's fascinating because the stillness is possibly one of the most uncomfortable places. I don't know if you've tried it recently. Literally doing nothing. Stepping away from scrolling, stepping away from sound and music in the background and podcasts. I mean, even just driving in stillness might be uncomfortable for you. That's not stillness, by the way. You are doing a lot. You are focusing on the road, hopefully. You are paying attention, but you're probably running through a laundry list of things in your mind of what you need to do next and who you need to call. I'm talking about slowing your body down enough to do absolutely nothing. That is where we find answers. Now, why does this work? Let's first talk about why this is actually working, and then talk about how to get you more comfortable with it. Because the reason why stillness is so critical is because it reduces stress and anxiety. Once you get over the stress and anxiety of being still, and let's be honest, that can create stress and anxiety, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. Stillness is actually our natural state, and it activates parasympathetic calm, lowering your heart rate, lowering your cortisol, promoting calm, and it actually increases clarity and focus. So the reason why getting a million people's opinions feels even more confusing is because you're actually introducing more stress and more being less aligned with what's true for you. It's more confusing. It introduces more variables, more judgment, more stress, more confusion. And that is why the answer keeps feeling like it's eluding you. It's in the stillness. You know, I decided to do that with this quote unquote problem of my dog and the family coming. And I decided to just go for a walk in the snow. What I love about snow, by the way, is it really deafens the sound. It soaks up the sound all over. And usually when I'm walking, I like to be listening to something. I have incredible audiobooks that I love to listen to. I love listening to music. And I realized this requires me being still. And I just went for a walk. And being in the stillness first, allowing my body to acclimate, to be comfortable in the stillness. Because at first you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have time for this. I've got so many things to think about. Your mind starts racing. It literally requires you giving yourself permission to take this time to be still. And as I was walking through the woods with the snow absorbing the sound around me, taking some deep breaths, another nervous system regulation technique, I realized that I was making this a bigger problem than it actually was. And the answer actually came to me very comfortably and very easily. It was not a problem around what I was going to do with this dog. I already knew. I already knew what needed to happen. We're going to create a safe space for him. We're going to give him, he loves his crate. We're going to give him a little trazodone, a little sedation for when the people are here because he gets really anxious. I'm going to walk him in the morning. I'm going to let him just stay calmly during the day in his crate, away from the stress of people coming over who he doesn't know. And then at night, I'm going to take him for another walk. And I have all year for the next 5 years to train this beautiful dog. But on that day, I'm just going to give him and my guests a break. Boom. Answer came to me. But it required me being in the stillness. It required me regulating my nervous system to hear the truth in my head. True intelligence operates silently, not in the noise of everything around us. My client did the same thing. She got really still. I was guiding her through this. She closed her eyes. We did some deep breaths to regulate her nervous system. We did a practice that I teach in my program, Radical Happiness for Practitioners, which, by the way, if you're interested in, please send me a message at tarryn@thebizofhappiness.com, TARRYN, because I am starting my next cohort in January. So as you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh my God, how can I get more comfortable with stillness? Hit me up, my friend. I will help you with this. Let's go back to my story. My client, I was walking her through. We got her body really still. We calmed her nervous system. And just like that, the answer came to her. She knew all along. She knew exactly what she needed to do. This was now the end of this relationship with this hygienist, and it was very clear to her it was time to let her go. It was also clear why she was so stressed about it. She was stressed about it because of all the stories in her head that it's hard to find good work right now. It's difficult to get a hygienist. What was she going to do? Well, the moment she made the decision, my friend, guess what? She got a call from another hygienist who was looking for a job, someone she knew, who she loved, who said she's always wanted to work in her office. Just like that, the answer arrived. But it really required her getting into stillness. Just like the answer came to me in a flash on my walk. Why does this work? Well, beyond calming our nervous system, it allows us to access the truth in our own minds and souls. You know, when we start to ask everybody else advice, we get confused. There's conflict. We take on judgment. We take on, everybody you ask, you have a certain relationship with, and there's sometimes a little bit of people pleasing. Like, I'm going to follow your advice. I'll never forget. I used to ask my husband, which earrings should I wear? And then he'd tell me one, and I'd sometimes choose the other one. And after a while, he got really pissed off. He said, I'm not going to tell you anymore because you're just going to choose the other one. So very quickly, we developed this little bit of a new stickiness in our relationship around me asking his opinion. And I realized I don't need to ask his opinion at all. I need to do what's right, what I feel good about, what's right for me. Stillness also boosts creativity. It allows your mind to wander free of the limitations of other people's opinion. It lets your prefrontal cortex actually process information and gather fresh ideas because you're not being inundated with input from external sources, external noise. It's such a precious space. And it's so fascinating that in our society, we've really made it almost impossible to be still. If we think back 50, 100 years, think of how much stillness they had. Before there was TV and streaming Wi-Fi, how many hours of a day? Before there was, radios in cars, before there were cars and you had to walk everywhere. Think of how much quiet space you had to yourself without all the noise. And now we've made it virtually impossible. Even at young age, I see going to the restaurants, children don't even sit at a table and eat a meal without having something streaming on their iPads or their iPhones. We're teaching this from a very young age. There's very little moments in our lives other than asleep in bed where there is stillness. But stillness builds resilience. It teaches you to sit with boredom. It teaches you to sit with emotion. Think of how much emotion we're bypassing by staying busy all the time. And I know I'm bringing you this episode at a very heightened moment. And that is the holidays, the end of the year, that time between Christmas and New Year's. It's crazy time where we fill ourselves sometimes with even more. And I'm inviting you to consider the opposite. Let's also just talk about, for the moment, physical benefits of stillness. It lowers blood pressure and heart rate. It's directly related to activating the relaxation response. It strengthens your immune system. It improves your sleep. It's directly related to longevity. Simply getting comfortable with and practicing stillness. Now, why this is so challenging is because we do not practice it. We practice the opposite. We are constantly on the go. as dentists, we are constantly running. And of course, stillness is uncomfortable, but it's exactly where we find our intuition and our higher self. It's where that little internal whisper inside of you can be heard. Because, as I've said so many times on this podcast, nobody knows you and your situation like you do. Nobody. Nobody knows your needs or your desires or your dreams or what decision or choice is right for you. And when we go on this journey of asking everyone else's opinion, we lose capacity to hear that inner voice. When we busy ourselves and put ourselves in fight or flight constantly and are always on the phone, asking ChatGPT for the answer, looking for resources all the time, I honestly think there is such a beautiful opportunity to use AI. I think there's great value in it. I think we can use it very intelligently and use it to help us with finding cures to cancer and incredible questions that we've had in technology for a long time. Even personally, there can be some great uses. I mean, I love using it to help me design vacations or to find Christmas presents for, loved ones. But AI is not the resource for connecting to your own intuition and decision-making with what is right for you. Think about how much you give your own power away when you outsource personal decisions, when you outsource questions about yourself, your practice, what you need. I think one of the biggest questions I hear from women dentists is, who am I? Beyond dentistry, beyond leadership, beyond patient care, beyond being a mother, beyond being a daughter, I don't know who I am. And a big part of that is because we have lost the ability and the comfort with being still, because that answer is only found in stillness, not in AI, not on TikTok, not on Instagram, not in your best friends or your community, your mastermind community. It's only within yourself. So how do we get more comfortable with stillness? It requires practice and it requires patience. It requires being very okay with being uncomfortable. I imagine this like waves at the beach. When you want to be out in the ocean, you want to be swimming out in the ocean, and there's first the waves that are crashing on the shore. You have to get through the crashing waves to get to the stillness and the floating on the other side. So there's going to be moments when you're practicing stillness where it feels so uncomfortable. You're going to want to crawl out of your skin. I get it. I have been there. And I still sometimes get to that place where I think I've made this time to be still. And man, I want to do 100 other things. It's so uncomfortable. Can you be okay in that discomfort and give yourself the permission to sit through that little bit of the waves crashing on the beach? Because on the other side is the wisdom you seek. On the other side of being so uncomfortable in the stillness, when your mind is telling you, you don't deserve this time, you have so many other things to do, you asked your husband to look after the kids for an hour so you can be still, and then you start thinking, oh my gosh, he's probably feeding them the wrong things, or I feel bad that I've already taken time today, and all these thoughts start questioning your worthiness of being still. If you can take some deep breaths, recognize those thoughts are going to come into your head. Know that they're going to be there and that there's nothing wrong with you and that you still are capable, and allow yourself to get through that discomfort. On the other side is peace. And it is a practice. Stillness is a practice. I mean, even if you've been doing it for a long time, when you get out of practice, it's uncomfortable to get back in again. Take this from a very practiced practitioner of stillness. And let me also share this wisdom with you. I know clearly the days I have not practiced stillness, because I go to that frenetic place where I feel like I don't know the answers, or the answers are not as clear. And when I go back to stillness, the answers come every single time. Another suggestion of getting comfortable with it is taking many little short breaks. So instead of making yourself sit there for an hour in the middle of the busy holiday season, if you've never done it before, Maybe doing it for 2 minutes. Maybe choosing to do it on your car ride home. Let me not turn on a podcast. Let me not turn on music. Let me not call 10 people. Can I just be quiet on the drive home? Can I just look at the things that I'm passing by? Or maybe giving yourself permission for stillness before bed. Not scrolling, not reading, not watching TV, not doing 1,000 things, but lying in bed and just being okay with stillness. And when those thoughts come in your mind of, let me just make 10 lists of all the things I need to do, or let me review all the things that happened during the day, allowing them to just float by. They're going to show up. It's not about avoiding. Just like, Brené Brown said, it's not the absence of thought. It's not focusing on nothingness. It's about clearing those thoughts as they show up, giving them permission to pass on through. And that really is the practice of stillness, practice of getting comfortable with stillness. And, one of the places I find most supportive with stillness is nature. That's why I went on that walk. Nature is such an incredible teacher, number one, but energetically holds the resonance of stillness so that we can acclimate to that resonance. Imagine it as a frequency, an energetic frequency. When you put yourself in nature, you can allow your body to get there more quickly. No, isn't that so ironic that I'm saying get to calming down more quickly? But it's true. Your frequency in your body starts to match the frequency of nature. That's how it works. That's why nature is an easier place to find stillness. That's why it's easier to find stillness when you're camping or when you're at the beach or on a mountaintop. It's because your body is actually co-regulating to that frequency, that energetic frequency of nature. So I use this all the time. Can I just get out there? And yes, there's some other components to it as well. You're breathing as you're walking. There's the fresh air. There's the vista vision. So there's a lot of other parts of this that are impacting you biologically and psychologically. But energetic frequency is probably the strongest influence. So if nothing else, if you're feeling like, I just do not have an answer to this problem, get your butt outside. Go for a walk. Get comfortable with stillness. So I'm going to leave you today with this support and this permission. Everything is still going to be there when you come back home. The world will keep spinning. How fascinating would it be to notice and give your mind that evidence? Wow, I took an hour of stillness, 20 minutes of stillness, 5 minutes of stillness, and no one even noticed. Let it be okay. Let it be your gift to yourself. Because the answer does not lie out there, and it does not lie in anybody else's opinion. Sure, we can take other people's opinion into consideration, but the ultimate decision, and perhaps the very reason why you're struggling with finding a solution to this problem, is because you haven't yet given yourself a chance for stillness. And I'm offering to you to take that opportunity for yourself, because you already have the answers within you, always. And for those of you who are listening to this right now and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Tarryn, I've been running for so long, I don't even know what that looks like. It sounds really good, but I don't even know what that looks like. Or I've tried being still and I am so wildly uncomfortable. I invite you again to consider, I'm running Radical Happiness again, and this is something that we really practice and really teach, how to get comfortable with stillness. As a woman dentist. This course, by the way, is only for women in dentistry. And it's the core of all the answers that you seek, even in business, even in your relationships. It really is how to access that wisdom inside of you. Not how to get better at what everyone else tells you to do, but how to access that wisdom inside of you. And that, by the way, we're starting January 21st. So I only have a few spots left. If this is something you're interested in, please email me so I can find room on my calendar. You can't just sign up. It really does require a conversation with me because I'm very selective about the women I invite to this group. It's an incredible 10-week program. It starts January 21st. It is transformational in your relationship with yourself. And I am so excited to be running it again in January. So let me know, Tarryn at thebizofhappiness.com. Send me an email. Let's chat, see if this is the right next step for you. And let's pause for a moment. I'm giving you this gift this holiday season. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, can you give yourself permission to take a little bit of time for stillness for you? Away from the noise, away from the cell phone, away from the computer, away from the to-dos, away from the family, where you can gift yourself the permission to get comfortable with stillness, because all the answers you seek are in that space. And when you feel good in stillness, that is when you can really do good in this world. Sending you so much love this holiday season. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Business of Happiness podcast. If this episode brought you new perspective and value, I invite you to subscribe so that you catch all upcoming episodes and leave us a review. And if you know of a friend or colleague who could benefit from this perspective, share this episode with them and empower their day. For more information about the Business of Happiness and the Radical Happiness for Practitioners course, find me on www.thebizofhappiness.com. See you there.